You can configure it to do surveys, and each of those have different outcomes. So I guess if you there isn't a single answer. There isn't a simple way to answer it. It depends on what you're looking for. If you tell me what you're looking for, I'll tell you how to configure the funnel, and then you can achieve the optimal benchmarks. But I hate to be obtuse on it, but it just really is. It isn't a single answer.
Okay. I mean, in general, though, I mean, we could float some very general numbers about open rate and things like that.
You know, open rate, we're seeing 45 to 50% for most businesses. Sometimes as high as 70, occasionally as low as 30 or 35, but most run in the 45 to 50% range. We see some combination of feedback and or reviews combined, because again, you can configure it differently in the 10 to 12% range. If you're doing the standard funnel, the default funnel, you might see 10 or 12 percent, 12 to 15% feedback and 1 to 2% reviews. One of the things we see though is that when NPS score goes up, you get significantly more reviews beyond what you would anticipate just by the filter being looser. We see 6x as many reviews in a business with a 90 NPS score as opposed to a business with 60, and that's well beyond what just is the open and the invite rate. So
that kind of supports the notion of paying attention to this other feedback, right? And paying attention to your net promoter score, because as that goes up, the number of reviews you get and referrals just goes up naturally too, right?
Right.
So Will was just saying he's a new customer and wanted to just know what he should be shooting for. So yeah, we'll let you know. The other thing is, feel free to reach out to us if you want some help configuring things. We'll help you if you have any questions at all. And let's say you have some specific goals. You know, I'm not sure what those would be, but a lot of customers use our tool in different ways. So just reach out to us. We'll be glad to help you configure and tweak some things as well. Because we do this a lot, as you might imagine. Just worked with so many customers. So yeah, so really kind of looking at these three levels, right? One is the Net Promoter Score, which is your word of mouth index, as mentioned, is that as you do things to improve that, all kinds of good things happen. You get more referrals, you get more reviews, you're improving your business. But there's a huge value just in that, right? And then there's the content that you're capturing for your website. So this feedback you're getting for your customers is unique content that can be used on your website using our testimonials widget or our API. And then these rich snippets can be showing in the search results. So you've got this unique content that Google's then crawling, it's formatted properly, Google respects that. So that helps you. And then obviously the reviews on third-party sites. So just yeah, kind of looking at the complete picture of capturing, measuring, and marketing your customer experience. So Net Promoter Score is existing, as those of you who have been using this for a while, you understand how that works, and basically you're trying to understand that key question for your customer: how likely is it that you would recommend us to your family and friends? And there's huge value in understanding that, and then capturing the resulting feedback and acting on the feedback from your customers. Content on your website, which I just addressed, we're making that easy to keep that original. It's one of the biggest problems for small business websites, right, is getting original content and updating your website regularly. And we're helping you do that with your customers' content, right? So the huge SEO benefits for that. And the opportunity, depending on your website and how much respect it has in Google, the ability to show up in rich snippets in the search results too. And then building reviews on third-party websites, you can request online reviews from any of the 45 or more review sites we offer. We're constantly tweaking this flow. And so depending on, our system is unique that you can dial it to say, I really want to focus more on reviews, or I want to focus more on feedback and testimonials, and you can change that as you go. So a lot of our customers, they don't just do that once and leave it there. They're tweaking it and changing it as they go through things. So that's something that I was saying, Mike was alluding to earlier, is that you've got a lot of options there. All right, so with that, I wanted to talk about some of the new features that we've been working on that support these things, right? So we're talking about these capabilities earlier about the flexibility of your feedback flow. And so we're always adding new things to the product that help you customize based on your feedback, based on things we're seeing in the industry, based on experience we're having as we see lots and lots of, as we work with lots and lots of businesses. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is this copy and paste feedback. So this is something a lot of people asked for, and that's the ability for when somebody leaves you positive feedback and you're asking them to leave you a review, they rate you, they say, yes, I would recommend you, right? And then they come to this page where you're asking them for a review. We've added this section where you can actually, um, you know, copy it. We're going to put their feedback right there so they can copy it and then paste it into the review site. And I just want to show you as well on mobile how that looks. So on the mobile device, it also pops up and gives you the same option. The layout looks a little different because we're flowing it based on the screen size, but you have this ability to copy the review and put it in here. So that's kind of nice. Oops, let me get rid of this phone here for a moment. Give me 1 second. And yeah, let me just show you how that works real quick, how you set that up, because it's not turned on by default. It's a capability. So this is what it looks like, right? After I leave feedback, I come to this page. Here's my review text. And before I write the review, I can just say copy, boom. Now that puts it in your clipboard. So when you go to write a review on Google or Facebook or wherever, you just need to paste, your customer just needs to paste it in. The way you set that up is going into my email templates under settings. I'm sorry, I want to do one thing first. I'm going to go to my feedback settings first. So there's a couple places I want to show you where you can use this. First is in my feedback settings when I go to my positive feedback page. So this is the page people see when they leave you, when they rate you positively. There's a template, and as you're probably aware, we have a visual editor for this template, so you can see what it's going to look like. And if I edit this template, you'll see there's a new tag here, which I can find on the available tags. It's called copy paste block. And if I put that in, then I'm going to actually see that little section, which is right here. And it says, here's where your customer's feedback will appear and where the copy button. And then it just gives you a sense of where it's that easy to add. And that's it. So basically, when somebody leaves you, rates you positively, says they would recommend you, they come to this page, and now you're giving them that ability. There's another place you can also use it. I'm going to talk about this a little bit more later, but if I go to my email templates and I look at my my reminder email here, and I say, I'm sorry, not the reminder, but the thank you. So after someone leaves me feedback, I want to send a nice thank you email. This is another chance to get the online review, right? So here's the thank you email that goes out. Now you can change that and say how many hours later you want that to happen. But when they get this email, I can also include their feedback in the email so that they can copy it right from there if they're going to go through and review you. So like, let's say maybe the first time through they didn't click the button and go review you on Google or Yelp or something, then you follow it up with this email, which is automatically happens. If I add the block in here, then that gives me another chance. So let me edit this and just show you. It's called customer feedback, and it's just a tag. All you need to do is add that tag, and then whatever feedback they left will appear in this email. So again, just trying to make it easy for your customers, trying to just take down any barriers to them leaving you feedback and reviews. All right. So that's the copy paste feedback. And then it shows up in two places, right? One is in my positive feedback thank you page, and the other is in the follow-up email after they leave you feedback. Any questions about that? Let me know. The other new feature, Jan says great feature. Thank you, Jan. We've had a lot of requests for that. The other feature I want to talk about is we've expanded our review monitoring as well. So We've added a number of sites. So in the past, we would monitor Google and Facebook and Yelp for you and give you alerts when you got any reviews on those sites. Now remember, you can ask for reviews on a whole lot of sites, but in terms of the ones we actively monitor for you and send you alerts on when you get a new review, it used to be just Google, Facebook, and Yelp. We've added TripAdvisor, we've added Zillow, Avo for lawyers, and Yellow and YP.com, Yellow Pages. So the way this works is, let me just show you. In case you haven't played with this feature yet, I wanted to show you how it works. So if I imagine that I'm logged in and I'm at my customer dashboard, and when you set up your online review links, the way we work now is any of these that I set up, like Google and Facebook, Yelp, if I include Yellow Pages or TripAdvisor or Avo or Zillow, if you include the URL in here, we will start monitoring that for you. So we just automatically do that when you add. And again, for those of you who don't know, this is my online review link setting, and that's what determines what shows up on this thank you page after someone leaves me feedback, right? So I'm determining here which sites I want to ask for reviews on. And this is the one I said there was over 45 of them. We've got tons of sites here that you can ask. But for those of them that we can review, if you add them here and you go to reports and you go to the online review monitor report, we give you a nice little report that gives you status on how you're doing, and then we give you all the text, all of the reviews too. So I'm going to change this to 50. I can change how many show up, but here you can see all of those reviews that we're monitoring for you, and you can see what's actually said. You can click through to the review site and all that, and you can sort these and do different things with them. But that's it. It's not really hard to set up, but it just gives you more capabilities in terms of monitoring reviews. All right. The other thing I wanted to talk about is the email sequence and timing. So we've talked about customizing the feedback flow. There are a number of emails that go out to your customers, right? Starting with the feedback request email where we say, please leave us some feedback. If they don't answer, there's a reminder that goes out. And then a second reminder is available now, which is something we added not too long ago. And then there's these emails that go out if they leave you positive or negative feedback. And so we've added a lot of features to allow you to customize the sequence and the timing of these emails. And just to give you a quick refresher of how this works, or if you're new, just kind of to show you, and the first email would be the feedback request, right? And the goal is to get the user to click on the call to action button and leave you feedback. That takes them to that feedback landing page where you can also add in survey questions, which is a feature that we talked about in a previous webinar. But the goal here is to capture the Net Promoter Score and to segment your positive and negative experiences, gather comments and surveys and ratings if you wanted to capture those. So a lot of flexibility there. And then it takes them either to the positive landing page saying, wow, okay, they're happy, so thank you so much. Would you leave us a review? If it's negative and they're not happy, then we need to make sure they know we care. And as a business, you get an alert, and then you've caught this issue before it turns into a customer that just walks away or a bad review on Yelp or Google. You have a chance to address that situation in our system, which I'll show you in a minute. It allows you to just keep this whole conversation documented in your system. And then after the positive feedback, there's a positive feedback, thank you. Same thing with negatives. So that's really, there's sequence of emails that goes out. Here's what they look like, and we just kind of demoed those a second ago, but they get the email over here on the left. They leave you the answer to the question, how likely is it that you'd recommend us? Here in the middle, and leave some comments which can be used as a testimonial, and then leave you the review on the site. So really what I wanted to show you here, and I'm going to just jump over into the product for a second, is all the control that you have, right? Is so that you can turn on or off this first reminder, and you can control how many days. So let's say you send out the feedback request. If they didn't respond within 2 days, then we're going to send them a reminder, and you can change. That's a good time for me to switch over here. You can actually change what they say, right? So I can have different templates, so you're not saying the same thing every time. So the first reminder, here's the visual preview of that, which you can modify. One of the things we did recently is we moved up the sequencing and the timing into this heading section so that you didn't have to open each of these up to see where it was. Now at a glance, you can see, what everything is doing. Keith is saying, can we customize the email templates other than just text? Yeah, Keith, we are adding some things into here. It's a good question. We do have the ability to add hyperlinks, bold and italic, these tags so that you can add information like your business name or your website, or do I want to show the review links here, or you can control where those things all show up. So we do have those things. We've had people ask about images, and we're looking at that right now. So you do have some control over these email templates. The key, though, is that you don't want to get them too crazy. You want to keep them pretty straightforward, so you're just getting to click through here and into your thing. But we don't have like a full designer, if that's what you mean. We have this ability to preview and edit and preview, but we don't have a full-on, email template designer with images and things. Paul said earlier this month the client received a 1-star review. Within a couple of hours, the client received an email solicitation from a GetFiveStars competitor citing the hours-old review. Wow. The reviewer was not a customer of the client, so it looks like they're perhaps using Fiverr or something to prep solicitations. Do you have any advice for handling this? So that's a good question. So someone's out there monitoring when people get bad reviews, and then they are they're contacting that business and trying to sign them up. So, yeah, that's unfortunate. I don't know if Aaron or Mike, if you have any thoughts on that. One thing I would say just off the bat is, in a lot of cases, people who are getting 1-star reviews aren't always the ideal customer for us, for you. It depends. If they're getting a lot of bad reviews, sometimes that means they don't care.
So Don, he's saying that he thinks that the GetFiveStars competitor actually left the bad review and then solicited the client with their review product.
Oh, wow. Oh, I didn't think about it. Okay, I didn't understand that.
So
that's really terrible.
The first thing you have to do is, it depends on how sophisticated these scammers are, and let's assume that they are, for the sake of this conversation, scammers. And it depends how sophisticated they are, but you flag the review is the first step. Go into the review or cursor over, you'll see a little flag appear in Google. And then if after 2 weeks it doesn't disappear, then you have to go into their forum and raise the issue again. The problem with Google is that if the review wasn't posted from a IP that's already flagged, and if the review is factually, if the review doesn't violate the terms of service, i.e. racist, sexist, or whatever, include a link, Google may not remove it. And it really, then the only alternative is to potentially, contact the Attorney General or perhaps a lawyer, but it's expensive to contact a lawyer, obviously. So best bet is try to flag it and then focus on burying it.
Wow, that's pretty bad if that's happening. That's really a bummer.
The internet is full of bad, shady people. Unfortunately.
Wow. So one of the things that we
Email me
found,
the details, I can raise it with Google and see if there's any indication that these guys are systemically doing it. So Mike at GetFiveStars, just email me the details and I'll.
Oh, that's a good idea, Mike.
Yeah. See if there's anything we can figure out. Okay.
Yeah, if they see that it's happening all over the place, they might be more willing to do something about it. So one of the things we found in testing was that after the feedback request, this first reminder email goes out in a couple of days saying, hey, would you leave us feedback? And we found that that reminder email is very helpful. But Mike did a bunch of testing and found that sending a second reminder some number of days later, this depends a little bit on your business, but let's say 7 to 10 days later, gets a whole other wave of responses. And so when we introduced this feature, we set it to off by default because we didn't want to turn on a whole other email that was going to go out to customers without people knowing about it. So as an existing customer, who didn't have, I think this was about 3 or 4 months ago, we turned this on. You want to go in and turn this on. It's ideal, and you can customize the email to say different things and the subject to say different things, but take advantage of this second reminder email if you think it's appropriate for the business, but it's not on by default for existing accounts because we didn't want to introduce a new email going out that people didn't know about. So just kind of continuing this conversation about these reminders and then the positive feedback. One of the things that people asked for is after they do leave you feedback, the thank you email that goes out. And this is the one that could contain links to the online review sites to try and get that online review again, right? A second pass at that. People wanted a delay. This was going out pretty much right away within minutes, and now the default is 4 hours. You can tweak that. A lot of different applications. People don't want to send that positive, that follow-up, that thank you email right away. They want to give them a few hours and ask, for the online review again and give them the thank you. So that's something that you may not be aware of.
On that positive feedback email, we have a whole group of clients that we work with, for example, in the storage industry, where they don't even want that thank you email to go out on the same day. And they feel that because the day that people moved in, they're all stressed, they're sweaty, they send out a survey on day 1, and then on day 30, they send out a follow-up request for reviews. And so there are situations and clients where you may want to play with that and not take people immediately to the review page, but wait for a week or a month and see if that's a better time to ask for a review.
Yep, good point, Mike. And then maybe you can address this. Greg is asking, is there a way to send different emails for different groups? For example, a new client that wants to reach out to their past existing customers as well as new customers. So maybe we want to send a different email for those two groups. We don't have, this is a great request, Greg, and it's something we're looking at. We don't have the ability to do different campaigns like that. I think, Mike, you've done that manually, right? Where you've sent different, yeah.
Yeah, you can go into the main dashboard, select the client you want to send something different to, and do a manual send.
And
fairly efficient, not automated.
Yeah, one thing we've done, or a couple of things we've done to make that easier is we've really improved the filters so that you can drill down and select the people, and then we've improved that you can have up to 100 people on a page, which just makes it easier. Let's say you're saying, I just want to go and look at everybody who I've sent a request to, but they haven't answered, right? Or it's people I haven't sent a request to, and so it's easy to do that. But right now it's manual, but definitely something we're looking at, Greg. And then Will's asking, in your tests, what % increase did you say with that second reminder? If I remember right, Mike, it was we had as many responses on that second reminder as we did on the first one, right?
Right, we saw essentially the same open rate, the same amount of new reviews and new feedback. So it effectively...
Definitely worth it, yeah. We're talking about this one right here, this second reminder email. Yep. Mark is asking, the new thank you follow-ups. If a customer already clicked on the review link, did the system leave those links out? No, Mark, we don't. So you're saying if they had already left you a review in Google, for example, when this email so on the new thank you follow-up. So then yeah.
John, can I answer that?
Yeah, please. Yeah.
So we do resend the review links. The way you need to cope with that sort of rudeness, as it were, is in the context of your thank you email. So an example paragraph would be something, if you have left us a review, just because they've clicked on the review links doesn't mean they've left a review, just means they clicked to the review sites. So what I often say is, if you've left us an online review as well, thank you for your feedback. We appreciate having you as a customer. Feedback helps us. If you have left us an online review as well, thank you. If not, could you take a moment to leave us a review at one of the review sites? So you acknowledge that possibility and in your email, and thank them, and just prepare them for the fact that you're sending it twice. And then I say, we recognize your time is valuable, but it would really help us a great deal. So just acknowledge the fact that they may have already left a review, but the numbers are, what we're seeing is only 1 in 10 are leaving reviews, or 1 in 12, or 1 in 15. So the odds are they haven't left a review, even if they click through. So hitting them again, I don't think hurts. I would, though, include that extra little bit about acknowledging that they may have done so.
And then Patrick's saying, I've received feedback from 18 customers. 0 have clicked on review links. How do I increase or fix that?
One way is to change the feedback flow. Another way is to change, I would start by changing the content of the email. I would explain to them what you can expect from them, and in terms of time, we see that if we explain that we're going to follow up with a request for additional information or review, and tell them it's only going to take in total 4 or 5 minutes, we get an increase. The other possibility is to change up your feedback flow. Now 18 is on a very big sample, as you I know it may seem big to you, but it's within our, it's well within the range of what we see. The other way is to change the feedback flow, and once you have enough feedback on your site, hopefully you're using the widget because we're seeing good success with that, is to go to this ask for rating only, and then send your review directly to us in the positive feedback page. So John, click on the positive feedback page so they can see what that looks like.
Okay. So click on what now?
Edit the positive feedback page so they can see what that change looks like.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So you're on the right thing. Just click on the positive feedback page, plus sign. So what this does is 2 things. You can go to the email and show them too. It puts the Net Promoter Score survey in the email, and it moves the request for additional feedback and makes it, you might have to refresh there.
Oh yeah, here it is. Yeah.
It moves the request for additional feedback to the feedback page and puts the Net Promoter Score survey in the email. So it's a little more efficient flow, less friction, and you might see an increase that way as well. I wouldn't do it until you have enough feedback on your website to, fill the pages. And then also here in this email, you want to be sure that, you let them know that once they click, they're going to be taken.
So, Mike, how can we share these just as some examples of these emails that you're talking about with everybody? I mean, can we do a blog post or maybe just follow up somehow? I think it'd be great to just say, hey, here's an example. You're going to need to tweak it, but here's kind of how we're. Yeah.
I mean, the last go around, I did have a lot of input on the defaults, and I put some of these values in.
Yeah, I know you did. Right.
Yeah, we can figure out some way.
Okay. And then, Patrick, the other thing I would say here is you're 18 customers getting try changing to the ask for rating only, because what this does is right in the email they click and then boom, it takes them directly to the review links pages. So that would be one way to do it. And then the other is make sure you're leveraging that feedback you're capturing. I think Mike mentioned this, but get that testimonials widget on your website, because Google will pick, Google's crawling that stuff and it's super valuable. So the reality that you have to deal with, that we all have to deal with, is that 75% of consumers will never leave an online review, right? So it's a numbers game for sure. We're just, all we can do is ask and make it easy for them to do it, right? All right. And then the other thing I wanted to talk about feature-wise, hopefully that answered your questions. If not, feel free to, ask for clarifications and things. But the other feature I want to talk about is repeat feedback. And this is something that allows you to, build a customer history, right? It's super important feature that allows you to do a number of things. So we had a lot of customers that, they're a lot of businesses that have customers that come back over and over again. But, let's say a chiropractor, for example, if someone was coming every week, well, I want to ask them for feedback more than once, but probably not every time they come in. So we worked with a lot of different types of businesses to figure out a way to say, how could we do this, right? How could we allow you to capture feedback so that you can measure how your customer is doing over time? But then I need to be able to adjust that threshold and say, well, I only want to ask them every month or every 6 months or every year. We had like a fitness trainer who said, well, my contract renewals, I personally work with these people a lot. I don't want to ask them every month for another review. I'd say once a year is good for me because I have because that's when their contract renews, or in some businesses it's every 6 months and some it's every 30 days. But the idea is, you do, in many cases for different types of, hey Mike, can you mute your microphone?
Yep, sorry.
A lot of times you want to ask for, depending on the type of business, you want to ask more than once. And so it's nice to have this idea of like a customer history that's building up, right? That I can see all this activity and these different feedback they've given me, and I can even control how often that we ask. So I just wanted to show you how that works in the product. And before I do that, though, just one more thing. The way that it works is that, let's say you upload your list and you send out your feedback to your customers, and a lot of them respond. The way we've designed it is you set the threshold to 30 days or to 6 months or whatever you want. And then when you try to add that customer again, we'll decide whether to send that feedback request to them or not. So if you set it for 30 days and the customer gets uploaded again, within 15 days, we're not going to send it out. But if it's after 31 days, then we'll send it. And the reason I bring this up is because there are a lot of ways people add customers in our system. Some people enter manually. Some people upload them using a CSV or an Excel file. Some people use our API. A lot of people integrate into their point of sale system, their CRM system, or some custom system they have, or they use Zapier. So we have a lot of people that use Zapier to connect to QuickBooks Online, for example. So anytime an invoice is created, it creates a feedback request, or to FreshBooks, or to Google Sheets, or whatever. So Zapier allows you to integrate with over 500 different systems, which is kind of cool. So we have people doing that. So my point is, we needed to make it so that we could handle this in an automated way, right? So let me jump over and just kind of show you this feature. If I jump into to a customer and I find, here's somebody that I've got multiple feedback from. So the customer profile looks a little different now than it did in the past. But it allows me now to see a history of this feedback. So I can see here's this feedback item and the date and the net promoter score that I got, and here's the rating and everything like that. So not only do I have that ability, but now I can do public and private responses too. So I can do, here's the private response that I left for that, and here's the public response that will show up in my testimonials widget. So I have this ability to track this, and you can see in the activity log on the right-hand side, we're breaking them out by feedback too, so you can see when the requests were sent and received and the feedback you got and that kind of stuff. So this just allows you to, go through and determine and just keep a history of interactions with this customer, which is super powerful, right? We also have some things in here like this job ID, which will you can change and you can set that. We have some customers who are doing this with integrations, or maybe they have the same customer, like contractors. They're interacting with the same customer across different jobs, and maybe they have subcontractors or different circumstances, so they want different feedback on these different interactions with the same customer. So that's what job ID does. And I don't have the example of it here, but if you use our survey questions, those will show up inside of each feedback item. So if, for example, I had additional survey questions here turned on, which I don't, but if I added a survey question and then people started answering that survey, that additional question, then it's going to show up. It's going to show up basically. Let me just go back into that customer record again. It shows up right in here. So for example, you might ask, how was our service, or how was our food, or how was your interaction, over and above that question about would you recommend us. So anyway, a lot of different things you can do here with that. Keith is saying, can we get a copy of the flow graphic that you showed? Absolutely, Keith. I think, let me just verify. So you're talking about this graphic, right? Be glad to share that. I'm trying to think of the best way to share it with you, but we'll figure out a way to get that to you. Just even if you just email support at GetFiveStars, then I'll make sure you get a copy of it. But I think this is something I'd like to make available to everybody because it's just an easy way to talk about the flow, right? A white label version would be preferred. Okay, no problem. Will is asking, I have uploaded customer records with job and one other column, but it doesn't show up in the customer record. Where's that data located? Well, Will, I'm not sure why it's not showing up off the bat, but if you will, if you wouldn't mind just pinging our support at GetFiveStars.com, then Thomas or Josh or Mike or one of the guys will get back to you. They can look into this in more detail, and we'll help you with it. And then, yeah. Okay, great. So I just want to make sure I got answered those questions for you guys. Boom. Now read feedback. Aaron, do you want to talk about the window clings at all? I've kind of wrapped up our little section on the new features. Are you available?
Yeah. I put out a blog post. We had some window clings done up. So if you're a office or a retail location, I've had a couple requests for service providers to put them in their vehicles. So it's a window cling, just goes on easy and easy to remove as well. It's not a typical sticker, and it goes on the inside of the glass. It's mostly just to signify to your customers that you care about them and you're going to ask them to rate your service. So we often talk about however many ways you can, seed the feedback process up front is always going to be a great thing. So when you make mention of it in person is obviously huge, but small reminders like signage in your retail locations is important. So this was just kind of the idea behind this that we wanted to put together. So we have them. We started receiving some requests last week. If you already put in a request, I mailed about half of those requests out, and I'll be getting to another dozen today or tomorrow. So within the next week or so, you should receive them. But if you go to our blog, it's the latest blog post that's up there with the window cling. But feel free to drop us your mailing address, and we'll put one in the mail for you.
Thanks, Aaron. And I think Paul was asking for some of the stickers too, so we'll make sure, Paul, to follow up and get you some of those as well. And then Mark says the suggestion in the future, in the next run when we print it, it should maybe say GetFiveStars.com at the end, on the side there. That's a good idea. Just so people know
well, sending customers to Get 5 Stars though won't be helpful. So
Oh yeah, you really
our
want them.
branding is a little bit secondary. You're obviously, it's great. We want them to know, we're the company that's helping you get that feedback. But at the end of the day, you're going to be the one sending it to them, or it's going to be linked off of your site. If you create a button on your site, or you have the testimonial widget where that is. So that's why we weren't really worried about putting the .com. We obviously, our branding is a part of the sticker, but pushing the customer to go to that isn't going to be successful. So that's why we didn't have it on there. But I
Oh
appreciate
yeah,
it.
because you really want them to ask, hey, how can I rate you? And then you can either use kiosk mode or give them the link or get their email address and follow
Yeah.
up with them. Yeah.
What a wonderful world if the customer asks how they can give you feedback. That's fabulous.
Yeah. So Keith, so Thomas posted a link in the chat window to that feedback request flow, and Keith mentioned that PNG is a little blurry. So yeah, Keith, if you just send, I can't go grab it now, but we'll be glad to give you a better copy of that image. If you just shoot an email to support, I'll make sure we get you a higher quality version that's white labeled, doesn't have the GetFiveStars branding on it. So
Yeah. I can probably get one to Thomas that he can post into the help guide. He can make it part of one of the
oh yeah,
posts in the white label section so it can be downloaded.
that would be perfect. Awesome. Okay, so I hope you guys like the new features that are out there. We're working on some other cool ones too. I wanted to leave a couple minutes. We were kind of answering questions as we went, but if any other questions about anything, now's the time to ask them. Any suggestions, we would love to hear those too. Yeah, as you guys know, I hope that we're always we're really committed to improving everything, and yeah, it's part of the purpose of these webinars is just to interact with you guys and hear what you're what you guys need and show you some of the updates we've made based on your suggestions. So, and then Keith's asking, what is the status of the SMS version? The ability to send feedback requests via text. So that is, we are furiously working on that in our labs right now. We're getting ready. We're looking for a couple of specific customers to do some testing with. And I have a bunch of names for that, but I can't give you a date now, but let's just say we're right in the middle of it, and we're jamming on that, and I'm really excited about how it's turning out. So Keith, we will have something for you soon. Jan says, Jan is on that list, I know. And she says, great, super updates, thanks. Any word on the SMS timing? So same question. Mark says, I regularly nudged Mike about BBB showing up in Google search pages. Any update about BBB showing up on Google search pages? I am not sure. I would have to have, Mike probably knows what you're asking there. I know we're looking at trying to get access to an API for BBB review monitoring. We allow you to ask for reviews on BBB. So I don't know if Mike, if you know.
Or Mark, if you want to provide a little more clarification, I
Yes.
did see BBB has started using rich snippets with their reviews now. So if it's related to that and they're using rich snippets and you're asking about maybe reviews from the web and the knowledge panel, there probably will be a chance that they might end up showing up in the knowledge panel soon now that they've added rich snippets.
Couple thoughts on that. Up to last week, some Better Business Bureaus were using rich snippets on consumer reviews and some weren't. There was this fear within the Better Business Bureau that consumer reviews would confuse the consumer between reviews and ratings of quality ratings of a business. As of last week, all Better Business Bureaus were forced to show rich snippets in reviews. That being said, in the searches that I've done, I've never seen, even though I've seen Better Business Bureau listings on the first page with rich snippets, I've never seen them show up in the knowledge panel. So I don't know if there's some reason Google doesn't. I mean, Better Business Bureau does have a special place in the pantheon of sites as a highly trusted resource. So it could be that Google treats them differently. I'm not sure why. I've never seen the reviews show up in the knowledge panel. So it's a good question, but I don't have an answer to it. Yeah, review summary doesn't show BBB exactly, and I don't know why, even when the BBB does have rich snippets, but don't know the reason.
All right, thanks, Mike. Thanks, Aaron. Patrick's asking, is there a page or a place to submit ideas? Well, Patrick, good question. I mean, we at these webinars is a great place. Also, anytime, send an email to support at GetFiveStars. We look at all of those. We have a ticketing system that makes sure we review everything. The other thing I was going to mention is that Thomas and Aaron revamped our user guide and did a new design and some new search capability and things. And then right from here, if you one of the things now is if you go into a knowledge-based article and it's not answering your question for whatever reason, let me just drill into one and show you. So here's one. You can say, you know, was the article helpful or not? And then right here, you can leave feedback that we also look at. So just email us anytime with ideas, or let us know, because we love to hear them. Is there a GFS feature that provides a click to share feedback or review on social media? Jamie, we have a really cool design for that. We're working on it right now to make it easy to share it. It involves more work than you'd think, because we need to actually make each review its own sort of like atomic entity that can be shared on Facebook or Twitter. But yep, we're working on that. I have seen Facebook and BB reviews show up on some GMB pages. That's Jamie. So that's back to our previous conversation. Andrew says, what would you recommend to a firm whose clients wish to remain anonymous? How would we encourage them to leave a post, or is there an anonymous feature they will be able to use when posting to third-party websites? Yeah, I mean, Andrew, that's not in our control. I mean, for our feedback that people leave testimonials through our system, we don't disclose the last name. But as far as Google and Yelp and Facebook, we don't have any control over that, and they do require a login to leave reviews. So I
There
don't
are a
have
number of
any.
review sites that do allow anonymous reviews, and you could send people there. Google, you can kind of fool Google by just creating a new Gmail for them, but it's problematic. The other side of it, though, is that the user is a big person. They can make a decision whether they want to leave a review or not. So let's assume you're in the DUI and some of those people aren't going to leave a review, but some of them will, and they will deal with the anonymous issue themselves. I mean, you can't assume that just because you're in an industry and you're going to keep it quiet doesn't mean that the customer has to. If they want to, they can divulge the information. So I don't. It's an awkward situation, and those industries are not, the ideal for our product. But I think just asking is the best way. And, if you want, encourage people to use an alternate name when they post.
Jamie was asking the same question because they have some bail bonds clients. I saw Paula do a presentation once on a plastic surgeon that somehow was able to get all kinds of feedback online reviews for their business, where that was an industry I thought people wouldn't leave reviews. But anyway, thanks, Mike, for that. And then Jan saying, haven't been in the user guide in a while. Thanks for the kind words about the user guide. We're excited about that. Okay, well, that's all I had, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us today. We love hearing from you guys, and I hope you like the features, and we're going to keep more coming. So stay in touch with us. Any questions, just shoot us a quick email. My email is here, don@getfivestars.com. Mike, Aaron, and Thomas, you can send us support, and then Thomas's team will get after it, but we'll definitely get back to you as soon as possible.
Hey, Don.
So thanks again. Yeah,
Don,
Mike.
before you hang up, I'm just going to post an article from Phil Rozek on at Local Visibility, 17 sites that allow private or anonymous reviews.
Oh, great. Just put that in the chat window then?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Everybody saw it.
I don't see it in there.
Well, let me.
Make sure you put it in chat, not in the questions, because the questions, it might only go to one
Good,
person.
good. Hang on 1 second. There you go.
There it is. I'll just pull it up super quick. There it is. Yeah, Phil's blog is such a great resource for lots of things. Okay. Very cool. Thanks, Mike, for that. Great. So everybody, before I wrap up, I want to make sure you have time to copy that link or click on it if you want. It's in the chat window, so you should be able to see that in your control panel. But you can grab that. All right. Well, thanks again, everybody. I hope you guys have a great week and look forward to talking to you soon. Take care.